things have moved along a bit. I've got all the electronics working now, so the pen solenoid works. That's been driven from an H bridge IC, and then I've got some relay drivers, ULN 2004s, which are driving the two motors. That's it. There's no sensor on the left hand side for home position, presumably because there's no multi-pen carriage here. It's just a single pen, so it doesn't have the change colour feature that the more standard mechanism has. I think it's wider paper as well, so sort of you lose out on the colours but you gain on more width. Real problem here is the paper handling. I've really not sorted that out. I don't really understand how it's supposed to work, but it's good enough that I can actually do some stuff. So I've got line drawing algorithm in here. That's the fundamental primitive when I draw stuff. In fact, everything's built from lines. I've added a circle and an arc drawing function in there as well, and sort of putting a font in there as well, vector font, but unfortunately I've run out of memory, so the blue pill doesn't have enough memory to store the font I've got. I haven't worried about compressing it down or anything. I probably will do that, but I don't know whether I'm going to be able to fit it in the blue pill. I've come across this quite a lot recently. So the way that I'm going to do the font, instead of doing it all manually, what I've done is write a little script that converts from DXF to C code, or at least the array format that I need for the font. And I draw the characters on LibreCAD, convert it into the C format, and then download that, or paste that into the array for the font, and then run it. So what that means is I can actually draw now anything that I can draw with lines and arcs on LibreCAD. So that means all the fonts that are in LibreCAD I can actually put in here. But of course I don't have space for an entire font, let alone several. So what I can do is download some characters. So I got some Gothic characters loaded into this. I'll power it up in a minute, and you can see it working. It's a bit slow. My line drawing and arc algorithms aren't really optimised for speed. It was optimised for speed of coding, but it's fast enough. It draws stuff. These things were never particularly fast anyway, and they were limited by the processors that they were attached to. So at the moment it's hard coded to draw some characters. So if I start it up, the first thing it will do is move right as a little jiggle, and then left, and it will keep going left for 5 seconds, which takes it over to the home position, so it stalls at that end. So that's the only way I could think to do the home. There's no other way of sensing where you are, I don't think. There's no other wires. So let's have a look. So I'll probably have to hold the paper as well. The paper handling is non-existent, but it should draw something. There we go. So it's just stalled. Now it's found its home position, so now it's starting to draw. So it's fairly fast. These I think are mainly lines. I don't think there's any arcs in this. It's fairly complicated font, and fairly large as well. Right, there you go, done. So if I turn power off, that makes it easier to pull the paper through. I haven't got a paper feed button, there you go. It's just drawn ALPS in Gothic font from LibreCAD. So it does work. I've also got, what's this? I've got a bit of the alphabet. That's as much as I could store. So I suppose I could store lowercase alphabet. That's about the limit, alphabet and a half. And then I drew a box around it. The reason the box isn't a box is that it starts over away from 00, and the box is as wide as the paper, and it stalls on the right hand side. And that's a different Gothic font, and that's also ALPS apparently, in a very old Gothic font I think. And ALPS, the same as the one that was just printed out. So there we go. So with lines and arcs you can do quite a lot. You can get circles. There is a circle function, or an arc function, which can draw circles, and everything else can be exploded in LibreCAD into arcs and lines. So all the fonts, I think, are accessible, but what I do need is more space, so that means either taking the chip off the blue pill and putting a CB chip on there, 128K chip instead of the 64, or building a PCB with one of the larger STM32s on it, which I might do. Yeah, so I don't know whether, I mean some blue pills are actually 128K, but none of mine seem to be, and I might be able to compress it down a bit, but that's more or less it. So there's no, what are there? There's no libraries. I haven't used any libraries really, other than Serial and the digital stuff, the built-in basic Arduino stuff. This has all been done using some code that I wrote. So it's not G code. So I've written it so that the font is actually built up from plotter commands like pen up, pen down, move and arc, which means that minor sort of simple language is there as well, which means you can send it in through Serial or some other form, and it will be able to do lines, arcs, but it wouldn't be able to do any characters. So there's no built-in plotter command for characters, because there just isn't space for the font, unless I just do the uppercase font, I suppose. If I compress it down I might be able to get one font in there, but I doubt I'd be able to have enough space to do a Gothic font like that.